You thought that Don and Candace give a bad interview? Wait till you see these two. All right, today we're going to talk about Mr. 4-year-old Orrin and Mr. 3-year-old Orson West. Now, Orrin and Orson disappeared around 5 p.m. on December 21st of last year. So it's almost coming up on a year. This being 2021. They disappeared December 21st of 2020. And it's a very in-depth situation. There's quite a bit out there. But what we're going to concentrate on today is the interview with Trezell West and his wife Jacqueline West. And I thought these two, if anybody make Don and Candace Wells look better, it'd be these two. They're as bad of an interview as I've seen so far. Very, very suspicious, both of them. We're going to go over the dad first, though. I had a lot on him, and there's a lot in that interview that he said and things. It was just really awkward. First he says, it's getting cold. He's going to make a fire, and he's bringing in all this wood from outside. Now, when you see this lot, you're just going to be like, where was the wood at? Because there's nothing on it. It looks like a dirt lot like you'd see kids playing baseball in. He acts like there's a forest back there, like he's Paul Bunyan back there getting all this wood in. And there ain't, I would love to hear that explained. He said, he's out there bringing in wood for the fire, and the boys are playing with chalk, and that they're not allowed in the dirt, so they're right there on this little pad, this little concrete pad outside the door. Okay, now I find it interesting. He made a specific point of mentioning that, because the first thing that popped in my head when I heard him say that was, you didn't want them playing in the dirt because then they'd have footprints, and there ain't no footprints out there. I would almost guarantee it. And that's like a preemptive strike on his part as to, well, why is there no footprints of little boys around here? He's already thought this out. I'm telling you. He stinks to high heaven. He just went in the house. They was gone. He immediately asked his wife, and she said they should be outside playing with Chalk, who is the dog. The first time I watched the interview, I assumed Chalk was Chalk, like they were out there drawing and stuff on the little cement patio. And how you're keeping the dog on the patio also. Or, I don't guess they ever said he didn't go in the dirt. But, the boy's going to be following Chalk around, and Chalk's not just going to sit there and make sure he don't go off the thing. So that's suspicious as hell to me. And he says once they're missing, he looks around outside. They look through the house. Then he goes down the block in his car. He sees a man. The man says he ain't seen him. Comes back and calls the police, basically. Now, my wife's, she's kind of informed me on some things, because all I wanted to do was this interview. But from what I hear, his search wasn't very extensive. He says he searched a bunch of corners. I guess he thought Orrin and Orson was going to be out there on one of the corners waiting on the bus or something. I don't know why he specified that. I thought that was strange phrasing. Let's say that. Said the cops wouldn't let him search because I got the feeling that a lot of people had been on his ass about they didn't do much to look for the boys. And, they themselves talk about it a lot, saying the cops wouldn't let them do nothing. They was dying to be out there searching, but the police were holding them back. They said the police told them, we have experts searching. We need you here, which, that's probably the truth. Now, whether I would listen to the cops if my kids were missing, I don't know. I don't think they're going to arrest you for looking. And if they do, It's bad police work. Then, this is the part that stuck out to me the most. They were like, well, describe the boys. And he described them as rambunctious. And the reason, he said they fight each other, wrestle around, real rambunctious. And something tells me he, once again, is doing a preemptive strike. And that's when, and if they're found, you can explain why they have bruising and this and that. I'm telling you, that's what that was all about. I really, really found it suspicious how he acted like they were mocking the WWE and jumping off the kitchen table and dropping elbows on each other. It was really crazy. And he made a statement that was very similar to what Don Wells said. Don Wells, Summer Wells' dad, he said he wished he could go to every house and go in and search, and if they wouldn't let him search, they could get a search warrant. And I never heard anybody say it before him, but after watching this video, which was, before Don, this might be where Don Wells got that from. Because this guy says he wished they could search houses, and it was really... makes me think that's an odd thing that two people just happened to say. I don't know. Maybe Don was taking notes. Now, the whole interview, he's sitting there and he's got his hands under his armpits. Now, mind you, it looks like it may be a little cold where they're at, but that's awkward to stand for a solid 10 minutes in that position. His body language was really weird. And at one spot, he made this weird statement. He said, hold on, just give me a second. He said, that they were really rambunctious. And he put that groaning effect in there, like to emphasize that. That seemed fake, rehearsed, acted out to me. If you watch this interview, which I recommend everybody does, if you want to see two people that look guilty as hell, these are the two to watch. Then, and as I've already learned, there's even a question as if these two little boys were ever at this house, because they had previously lived in Bakersfield and they had moved here to California City, right? And that's another thing about, they only was on that pad because if there's no footprints, people are going to question why. And people already seem to be thinking that maybe they was never there. And he brought up the pandemic too. That was another thing that seemed like he was using to kind of explain lack of their presence. That's the way I took it. You guys watch it, tell me what you think. And I feel pretty confident about he is definitely involved. I rarely will say that. I'll say, it's my opinion. My opinion on him is he is definitely guilty of something. And, when it's kids that are in his care, that something's probably why they're missing. Now we're going to move on to Jacqueline. This is his wife. She didn't say hardly a tenth of what he did, but everything she did say, she looked like she was more worried about how she was being perceived than the boys were missing. That was pretty obvious to me too. And she says, now they ask her, they're asking both of them, tell us what happened, right? And Trezella is the one that eventually starts, but as soon as they say that, she says, from our yard, and gazes over to the property. Looked fake to me. I'll tell you what, I can read some body language. I'm pretty confident in it now, and that was just odd. She said, we seriously felt like we needed to help. This is when like I said, she didn't say a lot, but this is in reference to not searching. People felt like, she seemed really focused on what people were thinking. So don't say we didn't try. We were going through it. That's a thing you see from people that I feel like are guilty of something, is they tend to express more about what they're going through at the time than being focused on the missing children. I feel like Letitia Staunch is a good example of that, which I'm going to do a video on Gannon soon, and you'll see that with her too. All these people have one thing in common: they are horrible at media interviews. And Letitia, Trezell, and Jacqueline, Dawn and Candace, all of them, well, we know 99.99999 Letitia Staunch is guilty as hell. We'll talk about that later, though. But she said that. She said, we're going through it. Everyone making conclusions. Yeah, we've concluded you act shady as hell. That's what everybody's concluded. Both of them mentioned that the police had took their tech, and she used that as a reason for not having newer pictures, because I'm assuming they were on her phone, but I mean, it feels like the police, just my early thoughts, have some evidence, I think, and that's probably some of it. Now, she's lying and saying, oh man, I would have pictures everywhere if I had my phone, but I guarantee you she didn't have none for that day, at least, of the boys. I would almost guarantee it. So she said that, and then it's like she's weird, man. They're talking about, do you think the boys could have walked off? And she said, they're not in this area. They're not walking around. They're not that kind. What kind would that be at 3 and 4 years old? At 3 and 4 year old, if they honestly wandered off, you would have no damn idea what they were up to. You cannot tell me you can predict what a 3 and 4 year old's going to do once they make it out of your sight. You can't. You can make a good guess, but there's no way you're going to be able to know anything about what their plans are. Now, this is kind of just the introductory, so that's why I went with that interview, because from what I've looked so far, there's not a lot of them out there. I think that's it, basically. And I want to mention something else, too. While I was looking into this, I seen something else. Now, there's a woman, and I'm not going to say her name, even though the clip I seen it from was a news clip, and they said her name. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to bring her any more grief, okay? But there's this woman that somebody on YouTube got the idea that she was Jacqueline's mother, and 3 different YouTubers went with this and just, brought this, made videos of this woman, brought a bunch of negative attention to her. And I'm not going to mention the people's names that did it, but it was so weird because the news thing was talking about it. One of them said that they would take the video down. They never straight apologized, but they said they would reflect on what they had done. And the other 2 didn't even make a statement. They agreed that they'd be interviewed, I guess, to get a buttload more views for their YouTube channel, which is to them more important than any fact. I tell you what, you show up at my door with some BS like that, that YouTube video is going to get 1 billion views from my reaction. Anyway, I want to bring that up because that irritated me really bad. Some poor innocent woman has nothing to do with this is getting harassed like that. It's crazy. Tell me what you think. I know there's going to be a lot of comments about this. I know a lot of people want these 2 little boys found. I'm one of them, man. They're cute as they could be. You'll see the pictures, but cute little boys. It's a shame. It's really a shame. This is about a year into it, and they haven't made an arrest yet. I know I did see there's a couple interviews with the biological dad. I might add that to the next video. We're gonna I like to know what I'm talking about, so I'm not going to go a ton else more into it because I want to get stuff right. That's all for today. I'll talk to you guys later.